Hi there, my name is David Simmons, and I am Principal Developer Advocate here at Camunda. And following on with Niall's great video tutorials, I'm going to be teaching you how to migrate from Community Edition to Enterprise Edition. I'm here with my trusty sidekicks. That would be Rosie and Bruno. They'll probably make an appearance. They usually do when I start talking, so be prepared. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start this migration process by cloning Niall's demo, opening the new repo, updating it all to the latest version of Camunda, and then migrating the whole thing to Enterprise Edition. And along the way, I'll show you some pitfalls and some tricks, and also some of the great features of Enterprise Edition that you'll get when you do this migration. And life, of course, will be better at the end. So here's what you'll need. You'll need an IDE of your choice. Now, Niall, I think, uses IntelliJ, so I'm using VS Code just to be different. You'll need the latest version of Camunda Modeler, and you can download that at this address. And that's because we will actually be making some changes to Niall's wonderful models in order to showcase some of the features of Enterprise Edition. You'll need access to GitHub. Now, I use Gitkraken for GitHub because I'm terrible at Git, and if I did it from the command line, we'd spend the whole time with me saying, I wonder why that didn't work. So I'll use Gitkraken, and I'll show you how I do that. And you'll need access to the Camunda Community Hub version of this project that Niall's been leading you through in previous videos. And finally, you'll get extra credit if you have an appreciation of Niall's sense of humor. Mine's a little different, but we'll see how it goes. So you will also need Java, and you'll need Java 11. And I'll show you why, but some parts of the previous video demonstrations will not actually work with Java 8. So as part of this path, we're going to also upgrade from Java 8 to Java 11. I want to talk a little bit more about why we might want to migrate from the Community Edition, which is a great piece of software, to the Enterprise Edition, and why Lafayette specifically might want to do this. He's got a lot of revolutions to foment. He's a very busy man. He's got revolutions going all over the place, and he'd really like to get a little bit more efficient at his revolutioning, which is now a word. So he wants to be able to look at how his revolutions are going and find places where he can be more efficient. And what if he needs to change his process for fomenting a revolution? These things do happen. Each revolution may be slightly different, and he may want to add some other changes to how he's carrying out his revolutions. So in order to do that, he'd want a way to migrate from one version of his revolution process to a new version so that he can continue to participate in revolutions just in a newer format. So with all that in mind, let's get started. The first thing we need to do is to clone Niall's code. And the easiest way for me is just to copy this, and then I'll go into my handy Gitkraken tool and open it there. So here we see Gitkraken, which is my tool of choice because I'm so terrible at Git. So all I have to do is say clone a repo and paste in the address and clone, and there we have it. And now I can open that repo, and there you'll see all the history and everything. Next, let's go on over to VS Code, where I've opened the repo, and we can see that it's all here. Here's my Java application, and let's just make sure it runs the way Niall says it does. Now that our editor is open, we can go and look in our source and Java. And let's just see if this runs the way Niall always said it did in all of his previous videos. So let's choose Run Java, the startup may take a minute because this is the first time we've run it. And there we can see we're running version 7.15 and everything seems to run okay. Start completed. Let's go check our applications and see if they're indeed up. And we can see that it's starting up already. Start completed. Do we need the Jeopardy theme song here? I think we need the Jeopardy theme song. Now if we go back to our web interface, we'll have to log in again because anytime the server restarts, it wants you to log in again. And now if we click on Cockpit, what do you know? Cockpit loads, and we've got our 4 process definitions. Great. Now we're actually just back to where we started. So let's actually start making some changes now. And the first one of those is that we'll upgrade to the latest version. Nile was actually not able to run this version yet because it hadn't quite been released yet. But now that 7.16 is released, we'll just go through here and we'll change these to 7.16. First, let's stop this process before it gets annoyed with us. We'll go and change all of our 7.15s to 7.16s. And that should do it. Now, we'll erase this class path so that it can be rebuilt for the new version. And we will once again run Java and wait for, there we see we're starting up version 7.16. So the upgrade from 7.15 to 7.16 is extremely simple. Change the dot number, delete the class path and start over, and everything seems to work just fine. There's one more thing that I wanted to make sure that you are aware of, and that is the database migration. You may or may not have to do this, but if you do, and you need to do this in order, you can't just upgrade from 7.9 directly to 7.17. You have to do these database upgrades in order. So if you do need to upgrade your database, keep that in mind, and you can go to this page of our documentation, the update for minor versions, and you can update your database through those. So don't forget that. Very important. There's a couple of things we need to do in order to upgrade to Enterprise Edition. If we go back to our code, we can do the actual upgrade to Enterprise Edition. It's going to take some changes in our POM file. We'll start with the BOM, and we'll go with that to Enterprise Edition. And we're going to move the starter REST to 7.16 Enterprise Edition. The web app goes to Enterprise Edition, and we'll load the Enterprise Edition version of it. And then we have to tell it where to find these dependencies. So we're going to add the location of that repository. And notice that we have moved our nexus to JFrog recently, so if you've previously done this and used the old nexus, you'll need to update for this. Now, we'll stop what we were doing, running it before. We're going to do a Maven clean to remove all the old stuff. Make sure we're starting fresh. We're going to do a Maven install to make sure we get all the new stuff. All that's been downloaded. Nice. And I'm a little paranoid, so I always just delete this class path file. It gets regenerated. It's not a problem, and I just always make sure that it's fresh. So now we'll go back to our application.java, and we'll run Java. We can see it beginning to start up as normal. And look at that 7.16 Enterprise Edition starting up. We may have done it, folks. Great. Start completed. We'll go over to our web app. And let's just do a reload because it's going to ask us to log in again anyway. There we go. Demo, and we're in. And you can see that we've got Enterprise Edition because it wants our license key. So I'm going to go ahead and paste in my license key, just a demo key. So saved it. My license key is valid. I've been validated. I feel validated. Do you feel validated? Great. So let's go back to Cockpit. And things look a little different now. Look, we have metrics. We have our 4 process definitions. Those are still the same, but we don't have any running instances. How about we start some running instances here? Let's set our filter so we can see all our jobs. We'll start a process, Lafayette version 4. We'll start 1. Let's see if he can handle 4 revolutions at the same time. This is a lot of work for Lafayette, so let's hope he can handle it. We refresh that. We should see, well, we've got 3. I haven't started the 4th one. Let's start 1 more. We've got 4 revolutions happening simultaneously. So let's go ahead and kick this one off. This is a cheap one. It's only going to France. It's fairly cheap. We'll start that one. We'll claim this task and let's give him a lot of cash because he's going to America this time. Let's see what happens if he tries to go to America with very little cash. And this next time we'll go to let's go to France with a lot of cash this time. It's good to have lots of money in your pocket when you're starting a revolution. So you can see that we've got 4 revolutions going now. It's going to France this time. So we'll book a cab and off we go to overthrow the monarchy. Unfortunately, we have to plan a funeral. So let's go ahead and get that funeral taken care of. Oh, he's going to France with a lot of money. He's going to take a first-class taxi. That's only 5. And complete. And now you see we've got 3 overthrow the monarchies. Let's go back just for a minute and see what's going on in Cockpit. We've got 3 running processes, and you can see here that this graph is starting to be populated. 25 evaluated, 22 ended. Great. So let's go see what's actually going on in our process. You'll also notice that we now have this nice history column here. So we have 3 running instances. So let's look at the history. Now this is something that you didn't see in the Community Edition, which is we can see how many processes have been run. In the Community Edition, you can only see where the token is now and how many tokens there are. But now I can actually see my history. And I can see that we had 1 fatality and we have 3 overthrowing the monarchy, right? And I can even turn on a heat map and see that we spent a lot of time preparing for departure so far. Not very much time planning, booking our travel, and we're spending a little bit of time so far in overthrowing the monarchy. So let's go back to our task list and just see what's going on now. We already have a write a letter to my wife. That's great. Let's load our variables here and see which. This was going to America. Which one was this? Was this a French one? This was just going to France. That's close by. We've probably finished that overthrow by now. And look, we're starting to gather letters to the spouse are starting to back up. If we reload our history, you can see we have 3 letters to write. And things are starting to back up here in overthrowing the monarchy. So let's go back to our task list. Oh, we had a tab for that. And let's take care of writing this letter. And we'll complete that task. We're going to complete all of our letters. Now, we still have 2 overthrowing the monarchies going on, right? And they both happen to be, well, this one's still in France, so let's complete that one. We had a lot of money. That one's done. But you can see our letters to our wife are starting to come in pretty quickly. Now, no offense, but I think I'm writing too many letters home and I need to change that. So let's go in and see if we can change how often those fire off. So we'll go into our modeler. We'll open Lafayette version 4. Now if we look at this, we can see that this timer goes off every 2 minutes, and that's really too fast. So we're going to change that to 4 minutes. We'll go ahead and deploy that to our server. Deployment succeeded. So we've changed that, and it's time now to go back and see what's going on. If we reload our task list, we only have 1 overthrow the monarchy left. But let's go in to cockpit. We have 1 running process, 1 running instance. It's Lafayette 4. And if we click on history, doesn't look like anything's running, and that's because if you notice up here, we're looking at version 2. When we deployed that new model, we got a different version. Here's our other one. Oh, we have a letter waiting, right? Here's our old one, and this one had the 2-minute timeout. But let's say, well, now we have a new version. Let's go and click over here on migration. We're going to migrate from version 1 to version 2. And if we click on show migration plan, it will show exactly how it's going to move things from one version to another. We'll select some instances. We only have 1, so let's select that instance. and we'll migrate selected instances. Notice we are playing with fire. Be careful. But since we're already doing revolutions, that's playing with fire. So we'll go ahead and do it. And now if we observe progress, we'll see that it's already done. If we go back to processes, we'll see that we only have, all of our history seems to have gone, but we have one here and we only have one letter left. Let's go back into our task list and see where we are. Right, we have a letter to write home, so let's go ahead and take care of that. And now it should only be another, should take a lot longer, 4 minutes we decided, for another letter to pop up. Now we're complete. And we shouldn't see any more letters home show up here since our process is complete. And we can reload this and we'll see that 2 letters sent and Lafayette has helped 1 revolution in this latest version. And that's really it. We've now done a complete migration from our Community Edition to our latest version of the Enterprise Edition. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you next time.